Okay, so this video is for our 5th Q juniors. That's going for a purple belt or a green belt with a purple stripe, which is the intermediate one. We're now sort of getting halfway through, so we're expecting a bit sharper techniques. So always going back to those previous grading syllabuses, making sure you work on those absolute basics all the time. Now we're getting these combinations coming in, so it's heading up towards much more to remember each time. Okay, so we're going to start off with Sanbonzuki on our Kihons, our basics. Sanbonzuki is 3 punches, so it's 3 punches, 1 step. So it's Jodan and 2 Chudan punches. So we're going to start off in Gidanbarai, so our left leg steps forward, and we're going to come forward with a Jodan and then 2 Chudan punches. So Jodan, Chudan, Chudan, and again Jodan, Chudan, Chudan. We'll do it 3 times forwards, and we're going to do it 3 times backwards. And yame. So that's it nice and slow. We're going to do it a bit more timing to it now. So the punches timing is Jodan is count 1, and then 2 Chudans are close together, so that's 2. So starting from Gidanbarai, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, and backwards, same again. Okay, so starting from Gidanbarai, we'll do it all the way through. And yame. Okay, so what the syllabus actually says is that it's Sanbonzuki coming forwards, we then turn and do Maigeri Sanbonzuki back. So instead of stepping forwards and backwards, we would do the Maigeri Sanbonzuki. So for the Maigeri, step down, Zengutsudachi, and we're going to do a Maigeri Chudan, so that's sort of belt height, and then Sanbonzuki. So as the foot lands from the kick, that's when the Jodan punch comes in. So, Maigeri, Jodan, and then 2 Chudans. And the punches follow the same pattern. So, Maigeri, Jodan, Chudan. And then we'll turn. So, Maigeri, kick, Jodan, Chudans. Okay, so we turn, so the back foot goes right across, hands come up, double block down. Okay, so do it once more coming forwards, so left leg forwards, and Maigeri, Sanbonzuki, Maigeri, Sanbonzuki. Okay, so the timing, so that's the basic, timing is we then turn, and then turn, and yam. Okay, so always make sure you get that back foot right across on that turn. Next technique, and we've got a few of them now that have a similar ending, or the same ending in fact. We've got Agiuki, Sotouki and Uchiuki, okay? And each of those is followed by a Gyakuzuki, Gidanbarai. So stepping the left leg forward, first one, Agiuki, Gyakuzuki, Gidanbarai. Agiuki, Gyakuzuki, Gidanbarai. And then backwards. So the timing shouldn't be 1, 2, 3. That gives you the practice to make sure each technique is on target, strong, has kime as well, that focus, that tension. So the timing for these, start from Gidanbarai and block, punch, block. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And backwards. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all the way through, we'll do it 3 times forward, 3 times backwards. Okay, so moving on to the next one, that's our Agi-uki, upper rising block. The next one is the same, Gyakuzuki Gerambarai afterwards, so the timing is still the same. This time we have Soto-uki, so outside forearm block. So again, we start from Gerambarai. We're coming through, 1, 2, 3. And back. 1, 2, 3. And yame. So again, the timing is 1, 2, 3. And what you want to make sure when you're doing these is that you don't cheat. Now the cheat that we see is if we do the Soto-uki, so we come forwards, Soto-uki, Gyakuzuki, and this hand hasn't come back to proper hikite, so it stays there. It's all ready for the Gerambarai. That's not what we need. We're looking for absolute basics, we're looking for full techniques, which means that the hikite arm on each side has to pull back. So, we come across, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then backwards. And yame, and breathe. Make sure we're breathing right down to the bottom of those lungs again. So Uchi-uki, same again, we've got the Gyakuzuki Gerambarai on the end, and again we do not want to be seeing Uchi-uki, Gyakuzuki. You need to make sure that that Gerambarai is coming from the hip. So Uchi-uki, Gyakuzuki, getting that right back, thinking that we're elbowing somebody behind us. Gerambarai. So, starting with our left leg forward, and it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so all the way through with that timing of the 1, 2, 3, all through. And backwards. And yame. And breathing. Okay. Now the next technique is our shutos. And shutos are a slightly weaker technique because they are open hands, but they still need to be quick. So we don't want a gliding shuto, we want it to, it's like you are chopping, okay? So it's a knife hand strike, so it's the edge of the hand, and the hand is sort of a 45-degree angle, but the palm facing away from you. Squeezing the shoulder blades together. Now it's not just shuto this time, we've got shuto-uki, nukite, so we come forward with a spear hand thrust, and then we go back to shuto again. Making sure that the front foot on this stays pointing forwards. We have a tendency to turn that front foot in because it can be easier on the legs. It's not, and it can hurt, it can damage the joints. So we need to make sure that front foot stays forwards. So we're going to step down, left leg forward, shuto-uki. Make sure that front foot is pointing forwards, front knee is bent. So we're going to come forward, shuto, nukite, shuto. So we don't step on that second shuto. Then we step through, shuto, nukite, shuto. And going backwards. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And yame. And breathe. Okay, so as you can see with this, it's the front foot that's moving, and we're changing from back stance to front stance, and then back again. We are not stepping through on that second shuto. So, left foot forward, shuto. And this hand, when it comes into nukite, the other hand comes hikite with a fist. So, 1, 2, and backwards. 1, 2, and yame. Big deep breaths, okay? It's really worth practicing that one a lot because you've got that change of stance, so we need to make sure it's in line feet to hip width and back again, keeping an eye on that front foot. Okay, so we've now got some kicks. We have Maigeri Chudan, Maigeri Jodan, Yokogeri Kiyagi, Yokogeri Kokomi, and Mawashi Geri. Okay, so for space I'm only going to do 2, obviously grading day or in training you'd be asked to do different numbers, but for now we're just going to do 2. So Maigeri Chudan, stepping down, Zenkutsudachi, hands nice and wide, depending how your balance is, wider or closer to, but make sure they stay out to the side, shoulders back. So Maigeri Chudan, we're aiming for the belt height. 1, 2, and turn. 1, 2, turning the back foot across, and yame. And then Jodan, we're aiming higher. Now, depending on your flexibility, you'll be able to get a big difference, but we need to see there's a difference. So don't do Chudan here and Jodan here. That's not enough of a difference. There needs to be 6 to 8 inches at least difference. Okay, so if you can't quite get a higher Jodan, do a slightly lower Chudan, but make sure that there is that difference. And most definitely not a Gidan kick. It needs to be Chudan so we can get that Jodan definition. So left leg forward, and this time we're going Jodan. So my Chudan was here, so we're aiming a bit higher. So Jodan. Turning. Jodan again. And turning. And yame. So you could be asked to do Chudan kicks going in one direction, Jodan the other, but we need to be definitely seeing those different heights. So the next one we've got is still Maigeri, but we finish with an oizuki. So like we did with the Maigeri Sanbonzuki, when that kicking foot lands, that's when the Chudan punch comes in for the oizuki. So we're going to step down, Zenkutsudachi, so front stance, do a Chudan kick. When that foot lands on the floor, oizuki comes in at the same time. So Maigeri, oizuki. I'm pulling it right back before it comes in because it's a basic technique. So Maigeri, oizuki. And then turn. And Maigeri, oizuki. Turn. And yame. And you'll be told whether to do a Gedanbarai turn or a full Zenkutsudachi turn. Okay, so we'll do that again, a little bit quicker, 3 techniques each way. So, stepping into Zenkutsudachi, and 1, 2, 3, turning, 1, 2, 3, and turn, and yame. Big deep breaths. Okay. So now we've done our Maigeri Oizuki, we're going to do Yokogeri Kiyagi, which is our side snap kick. Now obviously we've had this in the last grading, and we have it in our grading kata of Heian Nidan. So at each level we need to make sure we're practicing all the previous kata we've done. This time it'll be Heian Sandan, but you still need to make sure you're practicing all the other kata as well. So Yokogeri Kiyagi, we'll step our left leg forward into Kibadachi. making sure we've got those knees pushed out, feet facing forwards, looking in the direction we're going. We're going to kick, stepping across, foot comes up, snap and down, snap and down. Turn the head and then back the other way. And turn. And we're going to do that again. We're going to make sure that it is snapping. So we don't want to have a laboured step across, up, out, back, down. Great to practice as a basic, and if you're not sure about stepping across, hold on to a wall or some furniture, bringing it up, out and back. And that will help you make sure that that foot positioning is right. So we're going to step our left leg forward, keep it at you. So this time we're going to do it quite snappy. So 1, 2, turn, 1, 2, and turn, and yami. Obviously, space allowing, you'll get more or less in, but practicing at least stepping across. The difference between Yokogo, Kiyagi and Kokomi, Kiyagi is the snap, Kokomi we need to see that thrust, we need to see it being held out, it's pushing away. It's not a feint, it's not trying to distract somebody, you're pushing somebody away with it, okay? And again, you can hold onto the wall or furniture, bring your foot up, turning on the spot, practicing that turn, kicking it out, looking at that foot, making sure it's pushing through, bring it back and down. And that's a great way of being able to practice that technique because you don't have to worry about your balance. We do this technique from Kibidachi, stepping left leg forward. So 1 and 2 and turn. 1, 2, turn and yame. So we're going to step our left leg forward into Kibidachi. We're going to do 2 kekomis each way. 1, 2, and turn. 1, 2, and turn, and yame. And breathe. Okay, so that's Kiyagi and Kokomi, side snap kick, side thrust kick. Next one we've got is Mawashi Geri. Mawashi being roundhouse. Now with this one we've got to get our leg up to the side. Again, practicing stationary, holding the wall for balance. Foot comes up to the side. We turn on that supporting leg, flick, back and down. Okay, so when we're travelling, this comes from front stance, from Zenkutsudachi. So it comes up, round, flick and back. And when you bring yourself back to front stance, use those hips to pull yourself round. So left leg comes up, round, flick, back, and then we step forwards. Okay, it's really hard to do it slowly. Okay, so left leg forward, we'll do 2 kicks coming forwards, and 1, 2, okay, and then turning, so 1, 2, turn, and yame. So do practice that, okay? We have done a kicks lesson, so there is techniques in there using chairs to be able to get your kicks coming above the level, okay? You need to make sure it's coming out to the side, flicking round, using those hips as well. So that's all of our basics. Moving on to our sets, our kumite. You will be asked to do previous sets, so that could be go on kumite or set 1, but set 2 is what we're going to cover now. Your attacker is going to be coming in either side. If you're doing the full belt, first side, which is a right attack, so a left defence, if you are doing the half belt. So on set 2, we're now starting to use different angles, different stances, and just moving away using taisabaki as well, so body shifting. So for the first one coming in, the attack is coming into my left-hand side, so I need to move to my right. And we're going to do, it's almost like you're pulling a bow. So if you've done archery, you pull the bow back. It's the same sort of feeling. So our right hand comes up with the back of the hand to the temple, open hand, and we do tati shuto, so vertical knife hand with the block. So the block comes here. It's a Jodan punch, so it needs to be head height, and we're in back stance. Now we step, that was so you could see the tati shuto. We're going to step our right foot back 45 degrees. We're then going to pull our front foot back ever so slightly because it's a gyaku attack. So we change into front stance for a shuto uchi. And you're aiming for the neck or for the temple, depending on your opponent. So we're going to step back, tati shuto, in back stance. We change to front stance, shuto uchi. Okay, so for the left hand attack coming in, the right hand blocks, so we step to the left. We're in back stance, changing to front stance for our shuto uchi. On each one, the hand comes back hikate, so once it's been up here for the tati shuto, it comes back to the hip. So if you're thinking that you're blocking, you're grabbing, and pulling that arm back to your waist. Okay, so the Jodan comes in, we step off to the right, and then strike. So changing again, back stance to front stance. Now Chudan is, we're going inside the punch. So if the punch is coming in to my left, their body is straight in front of me. I'm going to come in on the inside, so on their body side of that punch. Rather than knocking the hand across them, we're coming right into the middle of them. So the punch is coming in, left foot steps back, and we do a right-handed soto uki, and that's stepping straight back. We pull up so our feet come together, elbow with our right elbow, and that's then in kibadachi. So the left foot steps back, zenkatsudachi. We pull back to high sokodachi, so our feet are together, preparing the arms, elbow. And that's straight into kibadachi. Try not to lean sideways and then come back, making sure that you land with a strong elbow. And that's aiming for the ribs or their solar plexus, again depending on where they've landed after their attack. So it comes in on the left hand side, block, and through. So for a left hand attack, this time again, we will block with our left arm. So right hand back, outside block, in front stance, pulling up, elbow. Okay, so block, elbow. Okay, now for my geri, there's just the 3 attacks on this. For my geri, you need to make sure that you're getting the right leg going back. So if the arm is moving, that's the leg that's stepping back. So the my geri is coming in, and we're actually going to knock the attacker so that their back is facing us. So our right foot steps back for a right kick, and we do a gyaku girambarai. We then attack with a kazamazuki jodan, gyakuzuki chudan, and that's our kiai. So block, double punch. So with a left kick coming in to the right hand side, we do a left gyaku girambarai, double punch. Okay, so we'll run through each of those on both sides. So it's jodan, chudan, my geri. We'll do that for a right attack and then for a left attack. So jodan, chudan, and my geri. And now for the left attack. Jodan, chudan, and my geri. And yame. Yes. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is our kata, which, as mentioned before, we'll have to do all the other ones as well, but this time we're going to go through hei and sanda. Now there is a lesson on he and sandan. So I'm just going to go through the kata so you've got it as a full lesson. So we start with our left foot going out in uchi-uki. He and sandan. He. And yame. Us. So do practice them. Make sure you're practicing your previous katas as well. Go back and practice those bits that you're not sure of. And if you're really unsure, speak to sensei. And we'll be able to give you guidance as to what you need to do to improve it, change it, and make it the best you can do. Okay, so well done. And us. Thank you.